What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we are talking about frog fishing. Some tips and tricks to help you guys catch more frogfish right now. It is frog fishing time, and I can't be more excited. I don't know if there's a better power fishing, adrenaline, heart pumping bite than a big old bass just grenading a top water frog. Those are the bites that get you addicted to bass fishing. Those are the bites that you remember for many, many years. So I'm excited that we are in the frog fishing season. Now, depending on where you are in the country, it's been going on for several months or it hasn't gotten started yet, but it is coming, and I can't be more excited. Frog fishing is just one of those things where it's 65-pound braid, extra heavy rod, power on power, after you just had like the most memorable blow up you've ever had in the thickest, gnarliest stuff, and now you got to get that fish out. It is so much fun and so addicting. Frog fishing is one of my favorite ways to catch them in the summertime. Fishing through heavy vegetation, fishing, skipping around docks, shade lines, thrown up into lay downs, fishing the thickest vegetation and catching some big giant bass. Oh man, just gets that heart pumping. But today I want to cover the types of frogs and really simplify it for you. Hopefully you guys have kind of caught on to that theme this year. Matt and I are really trying to simplify bass fishing for you, the different techniques, the baits, all that sort of stuff, because we know that it can be so overwhelming, especially being in a beginner or even an advanced fisherman going into a newer category or a newer technique. There's just so much out there, and where do you start? So we're gonna cover the types of frogs, the gear, and some tips and tricks to help you guys get more bites this frog fishing season. So start off the bat, what is a frog, or what is the category? Basically, it is a soft, hollow-bodied, it's filled with air, topwater bait. It is weedless for the most part, super strong hooks. You fish it on super strong rods, straight braid, 65-pound braid. Guys, if I cannot emphasize that enough, don't go with too small of braid. Yeah, even though it says 50-pound or 40-pound, you're like, I'm not gonna catch a 40-pound largemouth. Braid doesn't have the best abrasion resistance, and when you get a big old lunker way back in the thick of stuff, you want at least 65-pound braid to get that fish out. I was just talking to a buddy yesterday who had his heart broke throwing 50-pound braid and broke off with a big old largemouth. So 65-pound braid, extra heavy rod, and it's power on power. And again, we're throwing these hollow-bellied or hollow-bodied frogs, walking it just like you would your favorite topwater bait, your favorite walking bait, but now we're throwing it over lily pads, we're throwing it in bulrushes, in reeds, in tule clumps, and we're trying to get those big, finicky largemouth that are up shallow, eating bluegill, eating panfish. So they come in all different shapes, all different styles, all different sizes, and we're gonna cover that, guys, to help you guys simplify it. So I kind of broke down these frogs into walking frogs, into popping frogs, straight retrieve frogs, and then some oversized or mat frogs, if you will. So depending on where you are fishing in the country, depending on your fishery, you could be fishing no grass, you could be fishing the very backs of pockets with debris in it, or you could be fishing endless grass with lots of cheese, lots of thick stuff on the surface, and a frog works great in all of that, right? You can't throw a spook back there with all those treble hooks hanging. You'll get hung up. But you can take this frog and bomb it as far back there as possible and walk it. We're gonna talk about that here shortly too, but walk that thing just like you would your favorite topwater. It's weedless, and I promise you, when a big 5-pound largemouth, its mouth just comes up out of that muck and eats this thing, you reel down and hit that thing and you're grinding it, you're gonna remember that for a very long time. But it is a power fishing topwater, a weedless topwater that gets some amazing bites and some really big bites. Hopefully you guys saw a recent video that Matt did just a few weeks ago, and he caught a handful of really, really big fish, all on that guy right there, that Spro bronze-eye frog, and just caught some lunkers on the frog. But it's a lot of fun, it's addicting, and it is frog fishing season right now. So that's what a frog is. Again, we're gonna talk about the different styles. That's more of your walking frog. This is more, that's your popping frog, has a cupped face, so you can fish this just like your favorite popper. Bloop, bloop, or you can bloop, 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 bloop. Get that thing walking side to side. That's the Jackal Gavacho. That is an amazing popping frog. You have your straight retrieve frogs. So frogs that you throw like a buzzbait or a whopper plopper, but instead they are weedless, and you just wind them back to the boat. Very easy to fish. Lots and lots of fun to fish those guys. And then again, your oversized frogs. If you're throwing big frogs on big vegetation, heavy vegetation, big mats, that sort of stuff, we throw those bigger frogs, those flatter bellied, bodied frogs. But that's really it, guys. It's really that easy. So you just have to figure out what you're gonna be fishing. Are you gonna be chucking and winding where you need a frog that you can fish over and through the stuff on a straight retrieve? Or are you gonna be picking apart the backs of pockets where you want to skip this little popping frog up there and bloop, 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 and really try to entice those finicky largemouth up there in the backs of pockets? Or do you want something where it's a combination, where you throw it out there and you're just walking it over the grass, over the sparse grass? You might be fishing a grass mat along the edges, and you walk this like your favorite bait. Those are really the key baits right there, guys. So that guy right there, that's actually a new frog I've been playing with. That's the Swamp Lord by Berkeley. It's a really, really soft frog. And for those of you guys that don't know, a soft frog is really, really important, because when those fish come out and eat that bait, again, we have weedless hooks, right? We're weedless, so you want a frog that compresses down and gives that hook some bite, has some bend to it, has some clearance, so that hook can hit that roof of that mouth and really penetrate and get a good hook penetration. So you want a soft bodied frog. But that guy right there, that's that Swamp Lord like I was talking about. But we're going to talk about colors and tips, how to add some rattles to them, the gear. We're going to talk about all that stuff to get you guys geared up for frog fishing season, because this is, if you haven't already done it, like I said, this is one of the pinnacles of the sport. This is one of the my favorite, at least my opinion, my favorite ways to catch them, especially on top water, having those fish. I mean, when they shark it, when you're walking your frog and they come completely out of the water, sometimes they miss your frog, sometimes they eat it. They either eat it or they miss it, and you keep walking and they come back and then explode again. It is just some of the most heart-pounding, memorable bass fishing of the entire year. So let's talk about, I just covered the styles of frogs briefly. Let's talk about my favorite frogs in each of those categories. Now, I'm a frogaholic, guys. I have an entire boat frog box. Now, you don't have to go as crazy as this. I've done all the work. Matt's done all the work. We have some key confidence baits, but we have some key styles of baits like I just talked about. But more importantly, we have our favorites in each of those categories, and we're gonna tell you why. So, number one, if you just have to get one frog, this guy right here, that Spro bronze-eye frog. That is a very easy to walk frog. Again, we're talking about walking this like your favorite topwater, spook, vixen, rover, those sorts of things, right? Now, the benefit of these frogs, not only are they weedless, but they're silent. Again, a lot of times We all know that bass are ambush predators, right? So we're trying to fish this in the thickest of stuff. We're trying to fish this in those little shade pockets where summertime, you got hot water, those fish are up in that shade, up underneath that dock, under that lay down. You know, you can throw this thing, like I said earlier, where you can't throw your favorite spook, okay? But it is silent. So even though you're fishing it up through that thick stuff, it's silent, but walking it side to side, giving that thing some action is what makes this thing so special. Now, real quickly, a lot of people struggle walking a frog. And if I can give you one tip on walking a frog, it's hit it softer. So it's twitch, 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 twitch. This thing's going side to side, right? So I have that handle turn, twitch, 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 twitch. I'm actually gonna have this thing tucked into my rib cage. I've had my ribs bruised so many times from days on the water. Twitch, 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 twitch. This thing is just going side to side, right? And I'm not hitting it very hard, just real subtle walks, and I'm turning my handle, twitch, 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 twitch. I'm doing it with that same cadence, okay? Getting that thing walking. That's what's special about the frog. That right there is why you throw it on 65-pound braid. You can throw it around through all this stuff where these big old bass are, and you don't have to worry about it. Make a better cast. Twitch, 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 twitch. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Let me throw one over here. Twitch, 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 twitch. Okay, so it's not hard, guys. So if you're having a hard time, like the frog's covering too much distance and it's not going side to side, real subtle, hit it softer with your rod to it. That makes all the difference in the world. But if I could have one frog, this guy right here, that's a black and white combination, black belly, white back. That thing is lights out. Now, I mentioned colors. Simplify it really, really easy for you guys. You need a white frog. You need a black frog. You need a bluegill-esque color, and then something with some chartreuse, like a chartreuse bellied frog, something that they can see in more of that murky water. That's it, guys. You don't have to go super crazy with all these different colors. I really like throwing a black frog. Black seems to get the biggest bites. You don't get as many bites, but black frogs seem to get the bigger bites. Again, that's why I like that black and white combo. I can see it on the surface with my eyes, the white, and it's got the black belly, but when it's walking, you know, it's throwing a little bit of white, subtle change. But if I could have one frog, that Spro Bronzeye frog right there, a lot of fish on that guy right there. One other one for you guys, like I said, we've been playing along with it. This guy right here, that Swamp Lord, that thing is a cool frog. It's a little bit wider bodied than the Spro, but that is another great little frog. Again, bluegill color right there. But if I could have one, it's that Spro. That thing will get the job done. It comes in a ton of different colors. Like I said, you need, excuse me, you need a white one, a black one, some kind of baitfish or bluegill color, and then a bright one, okay? Now, with that said, these are literally the rods I pulled out of my rod locker. Look at this guy right here. Had like literally the cheeks just eaten off of this thing. Now, why do I throw this one? This is the Jackal Gavacho, and this is my second favorite frog. It is a poppin' frog. It's a frog that walks really easily because it has that cup face, so it's catching that water, so it's easier to go side to side. You can pop it, you can bloop it. You fish it like your favorite popper, but again, you fish it where you can't fish your Pop X or your World Pop or your Rico, whatever your favorite popper is. It's a weedless popper. Now, right now, these bluegill are up spawning, and we all know that bass love to eat bluegill. So I love throwing a bluegill colored poppin' frog, and again, 65-pound braid. But that guy right there, the Jackal Gavacho, It's got a chartreuse back, which helps me see it when I throw it way back in the thick of things. But when I'm walking it, they're just seeing that bluegill side to side action. They're not seeing that chartreuse or whatever, but it doesn't hurt if they do. But that is an awesome, awesome killer popping frog. If you need one, that Jackal Gavacho is the deal. Straight retrieve frog. Really, really easy to throw. If you're a beginner frog fisherman, you don't want to have to worry about walking a frog. Literally just chuck and wind it. You fish it like your favorite buzz bait, except for when you pause it, it doesn't sink. This is the Spro Flappin' Frog. It's in that Essential series. It's kind of like it's a special blend of plastic, but it doesn't play well with others, so keep this in its own box. But it's super durable. These feet are little kicker feet, and again, you fish this thing around boat docks, around laydowns, around grass edges. You chuck and wind it early in the morning, along shade lines, wherever you need a big bite to come from or hope from. This is where you throw this thing. It is an easy, easy frog to throw. Now, the one tip I will say when you're throwing the straight retrieve frogs, typically when I'm throwing these, just like I'd be throwing a buzzbait or a whopper plopper, I keep my rod tip up just high enough that the line is off the water. I don't want 10 or 15 feet of line coming along the water before my frog gets there. So I keep my rod tip up, and I keep that line off the water. And when they do eat this, I drop my rod tip and then I swing. That gives me a split second to let that fish get that bait deeper in its mouth. It gives me a little bit of momentum to really set that hook. But the straight retrieve frogs are really easy, and that is a winner right there. That Spro, that Flappin' Frog, the Essential series, and then this guy right here. That's the Teckle. Again, this is basically a weedless whopper plopper. Same thing. When they eat it, I drop that rod tip and then I give it to them. But that Teckle, that is an awesome, that's a sprinker. But that Teckle is an awesome, awesome weedless straight retrieve frog as well. All right, last but not least, we're talking about the oversized frogs or the mat frogs. I got a Spro poppin' frog here. You can see it compared to the Gavacho, it's quite a bit bigger. And then I have the Spro King Daddy compared to its normal little brother, tiny little guy. This thing, I've actually added some drop shot weights. We're gonna talk about that here in just a second, and some rattles to make this thing sit deeper in the water and cause more of a disruption on the mat. When you're actually fishing a mat, it's solid grass and there's stuff on the top, cheese, and the fish will come up through that and eat the frog. And having something that has a little bit of sound, that makes a little bit more of a depression in that mat, helps those fish find it from below. So when you're fishing the mat, start fishing the edges, fish the edge, and then make like you're slicing a pizza or a pie or something, right? And break that mat into slices and fish that. You'll be able to see your tracks coming through that mat, and you'll actually see where other people have fished, and you'll actually see where there's blowholes where they've gotten bit. So pay attention to that as well. But that Spro King Daddy is a fun frog, oversized frog to throw on the mats. Now, talking about some tips to make your frogs a little bit different. Now, we talked about the benefit of having that thing silent. For the most part, I keep my frogs silent. If I want to add a little bit of sound to them, say the water's stained or the water's murky, or they're missing my frog, take your favorite jig rattle, whether it's glass or plastic, okay, these little guys right here, little jig rattles, and in each of the frogs, there's a little, I'm gonna do it on the white one so you guys can see. There's a little gap right here where the hook comes out. You can take this and slide it up. You have to spread it out just a little bit and slide that rattle up in there to add some rattles, or take your favorite cylinder drop shot weight, same thing, slide it up into that frog and give yourself a little bit of weight. So you're adding a little bit of weight, a little bit of sound. Be careful, don't add too much weight because these things are meant to float and you don't want them to sink. A lot of times they will fill with a little bit of water. You squeeze them after every 5 or 6 casts and spit that water out. But adding a little bit of weight or adding a little bit of rattle, a little bit of sound can help those fish find your frog in that murky water. The only other tip that we can talk about trimming the legs. Some of my frogs, I cut the legs down quite a bit so they're not long out there. Sometimes those fish will come up and nip at the frog legs. I actually keep them fairly short, about 3 inches or so. One thing you can do if you're having a hard time walking your frog, you can cut one set of legs a little bit shorter than the other set, and that'll help it kind of shimmy back and forth. It has more drag on this side than this side and helps it kind of get off-centered and gets that thing started side to side. So when you're walking it, it starts going side to side. But guys, frog fishing is an amazing time to be out fishing. It's one of my favorite ways to catch them. Low light, I'm out early, I'm out late. If I am fishing during the middle of the day, I'm fishing the deepest, darkest, gnarliest vegetation, shade, because that's where those big fish are sitting. Now with that said, let's talk about gear real quickly. If I could have one, Matt and I have fished, I'm not gonna say hundreds, but lots and lots and lots of different frog rods. If I could have one, the X Pride 7.3 extra heavy is it. That is the perfect combination of power, a soft enough tip to make it easy to walk, and a soft enough tip to make it accurate. That's really, really important. When you're sitting there trying to cast a broomstick, you're trying to cast over here and it's going over there, having a tip that you can be accurate with is super important, especially when you're fishing a frog around cover. That 7.3 extra heavy has the horsepower in the bottom end to I've boat flipped 8-pounders on this thing. It just is it is the deal. And I pair that up with a Shimano Metanium. The Metanium specifically, it's just one of those reels that I can send it. I can almost spool it. 65-pound braid. That was dry braid, by the way. Wasn't even wet. I haven't even made a cast with this one yet. That Metanium MGL, that MGL spool, again, just lets me send that frog a long ways with ease. Now, the combination, super light, super powerful. When you're walking a frog all day, you'll feel it in the elbow, you'll feel it in the shoulder. Again, this is an awesome, awesome, lightweight, super powerful combination. Again, paired up with that 65-pound, this is Max Quattro, 65-pound braid. Now, the reason I use that Max Quattro, it is thinner than a lot of other braids, but it still has that true 65-pound test. So I can cast this thing farther. And when I am, it is fairly abrasive. So when I am fishing around grass or lily pad stems or reeds, and I hook that fish, it acts kind of like a saw and cuts through it. The other line that's really good with that is that Sunline FX2, the frogging and flipping line. That I throw that in 60-pound. It comes in 50 and 60. I throw that in 60-pound. But that is the line I use. I forgot completely to talk about this, guy. It's because I didn't have it laying out. But one other category I wanted to talk about is finesse frogs. And it's kind of an oxymoron in its category because it doesn't, like, power fishing, frog fishing, finesse, that doesn't make any sense. But those of you guys that followed the channel know the last couple years we have straight messed them up on this little Jackal Kyera, however you want to pronounce it. It is a finesse frog, okay? This is the bait you want to throw when those fish are eating shad balls or they're eating little bait fish. That thing is quiet and it mimics a shad extremely well. So even though we're frog fishing, now we're throwing ghosty colors. We're throwing this guy right here with some sparkle in the legs. It just mimics those little bait fish up on the surface perfectly. Specifically for the smaller finesse frogs, I do change my rod and I do change my braid. This is 50-pound 131 by Suffix. It's very, very smooth. It's a thin diameter braid. It's really easy to cast. And then I have that paired up with a Zodius 7-1 heavy. You know, I talked about that tip on that extra heavy. It's not light enough to be able to throw these little tiny frogs accurately. So I like to have that 7-1 heavy. I have that paired up with a Daiwa Zillion. That just is an awesome combo for that lighter frog. Again, we're walking it. You can walk it fast. This will work all the way through fall, especially, you know, with the shad spawn going on now, and then all the way through fall when they start really eating up on those shad balls. That little finesse frog is lights out, that Jackal K-era. But having that 7'3" or that 7'1", that rod is really important, because when you're trying to walk this thing, you don't want that rod tip slapping the lake, the water in front of you. So I like that little bit shorter rod. And then again, you get down into that backbone of that rod, that horsepower, you can really lay into those fish and drag them out of the thickest of stuff. Now, one other style of rod or type of rod, this is the Dobbins. This is the 755, so 7'5", 5 power in their Ecstasy line. Now they make this rod in a couple different lines, whether it's a 735 or a 745. Basically that 5 power, and you want a 7.3 to a 7.5. Having that little bit longer rod. Again, we're not walking those straight retrieve frogs on these rods. We're just chucking and winding. You want to have enough backbone to set that hook, but you don't need that extra heavy. You can get away with a heavy or a heavy plus, something like that. But that 5 power is what's key. So I really like that combo for the straight retrieve frogs. A little longer distance on that longer rod helps you cast a little bit longer, farther distance. But guys, frog fishing, don't miss it this season. Whether you're a pond fisherman, a shore-based angler, a kayak fisherman, or a guy on a bass boat, it is topwater time and it is frog fishing time. If you have any questions, please leave those down below in the comment section. I will try to get those as soon as possible. If you guys learned something from this video, or you like this video, or heck, you just like frog fishing, hit that like button. Let us know you like it. Hit that bell, turn on those notifications, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We do 6 videos a week for you, trying to help you guys, teach you guys to catch more fish and just catch bigger fish and have fun out on the water. Bass fishing is the greatest sport in the world. Matt and I love it, and hopefully you guys love it too. But frog fishing, guys, I promise you, the first time you get one of those blow-ups, you're gonna remember it for a long time. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.